we could give you some information and answer a number of questions. We have an incredible guest with us today who happens to be a good friend as well. Maryann Ferenc, many of you know her from Mise en Place and being just a powerhouse in our community for so many years. So welcome, Maryann. We'll be with you in just a minute. I want to go over some information. The case update. We have 21,186 positive cases in Hillsborough County, and that includes 192 deaths. That's an incredible jump in the number of deaths associated with COVID-19. I remember when we were down at 41, 42 deaths. But as I say every time, behind each of those numbers is an individual, someone's family member, someone's loved one, or someone's friend. And so that's why we work hard every day to reduce the number of these cases, is to ensure that we don't have any more deaths from COVID-19. The state of Florida, we have 301,810 total positive cases, 4,626 deaths statewide. The nation reported a record 67,417 new cases in one day. So this is a problem that clearly is affecting our entire nation. We did such a great job with really crushing this curve in the very beginning. Everybody adhering to the stay-at-home order or safer-at-home order, doing everything that was asked, working remotely, all of those. And then again, I know that I hear from the bar owners every time I say this, but I really had hoped that we could use some of the CARES funding to supplement the bars so that they didn't have to open up, because that indoor close contact, loud speaking atmosphere is really just the petri dish for these COVID-19 cases. And so the governor has taken steps to close the bars back down. And we had an incredible surge in the number of positive cases in the age bracket of 25 years old to 34. But really the second spike was 15 to 24. But really it's that 21 to 30-year-old that we saw just incredible surge in the number of positive cases. We're doing a great deal of testing. We continue to expand the number of testing sites. There's one that's going to open up out in the western part of the county in Town and Country. We have increased the testing at Raymond James Stadium. It's Monday through Saturday now. They're expanding hours at other locations. We still have in the city at Lee Davis Center, and we're doing just a number of testings at private locations, at the hospitals. Also, you can, through your insurance, get a personal test kit, take your own samples and send that off, and the return time on that somewhere around 3 to 5 days. As you've heard me say before, we try to make all of our decisions based on data, but that data has to be timely and accurate, and we're really not dealing with either here. The cases are coming back in bunches, and then the test results, sometimes the delays are up to 7 to 10 days. So we're doing the best we can to make those decisions. The mask order went into place 3 weeks ago in the city of Tampa, a little over 2 weeks ago in Hillsborough County. We passed out more masks than we have citizens in Tampa. We passed out over 400,000 masks. Still have more available if anybody needs them. The county is also passing them out at libraries. So if you need reusable masks, they're available. Please get them. And as I have said all along, the research shows best thing we can do to stop the transmission and contraction of COVID-19 is to wear a mask when you can't 6 foot distance separate. So please, please, please wear masks. Everywhere I go, I see a great adherence to that mask order. And I say thanks to everybody who is wearing one, and to those who aren't, please wear one, because it literally could be a life or death matter that we're talking about. And frankly, it's not really a big deal. Just put on a mask. It's not difficult at all. Now let's talk about money. We had our One Tampa relief program. The first phase was for our residents. We helped out with mortgage, rent, and utility payments. Second phase was for our businesses, our small businesses in the community. We had funding left over, so we've gone to a third phase, and we have made this as simple as it can possibly be. If you have a business license in the city of Tampa, you've been affected by COVID-19, please go to tampagov.net, click on One Tampa. It's literally a one-page form you fill out, put your business license number in there, and you will be told immediately if you're eligible or not. And the eligibility is pretty wide. So go on there if you have a small business, if you have a business and you have a City of Tampa business license, go on there, put your business license in, and you'll get a check for $2,000. So we've made it as simple as we can. We know you've got a lot of things to worry about now, and we don't want that to be a burden or a hindrance. We just want to help you out monetarily in any way that we possibly can. So we're excited about that. We've had a great deal of response to it. We need to get the word out as much as we possibly can. So today, a lot of people don't know this, is Tampa's birthday. We're 133 years old today. So I have been the entire morning out throughout the city of Tampa rounding up birthday candles. You know how hard it is to get 133 birthday candles on one cake. So it's a really big cake. We'll be giving that away as well. But happy birthday to the city of Tampa. It's amazing, 133 years old. I know we don't look a day over 130, but that's the way it is. All right, let's get to the important part here. And our guest, Maryann Ferenc, has spent her lifetime in the restaurant industry, beginning her career in her parents' restaurant in Detroit as a busgirl. I did not know that. I've known you all this time, and I did not know that. A passionate advocate for independent businesses, Maryann established Mise en Place in 1986, along with her co-proprietor, Chef Marty Blitz. We love his creations. Maryann received a degree in theater from Wayne State University. Well, is that Wayne State in Indiana?
No, Detroit.
In Detroit? Okay. There's Wayne State in Indiana as well. Some of my family went to, while managing a gourmet health food store. Maryann helped introduce new American cuisine to Tampa Bay and was involved in the downtown Renaissance when she moved Mise en Place to Kennedy Boulevard at Grand Central Avenue in 1992. Maryann's charitable work involves feeding the hungry while actively supporting downtown and Tampa's independent businesses network. Maryann continues to work to improve the landscape of small businesses in Tampa Bay, and I can attest to that. She's one of the hardest working women that I've ever seen, and she currently is the Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce chair as well. So she wears many, many hats, and we are so thankful that you've taken a little bit of time out of your busy day to answer some questions. So talk to us about what the experience is in this atmosphere with COVID-19 as a restaurateur. It can't be easy.
No, it's not easy. And I think, the main reason why it's not easy is what we exist to do and what we love to do is serve our guests. We like to provide, the relaxation, the moment where you get at the end of the day or the end of the week where you get to go out and celebrate or just get away from things with dinner or just spend time where you carve that time out to be with people that you like and actually be with them. And you get across a table and you get to share and you celebrate family things or community events. And we're not getting to do that in the same way. And so there's a pent up frustration, the same way there is for people to get out of the house. There's a pent up frustration for us to serve. So it's been difficult from that perspective. It's also obviously difficult from a financial perspective. I mean, any business, large or small, but I think, particularly our small independent businesses who, this is your livelihood. I mean, this is all Marty and I have ever done really with our adult lives. Being in business since 1986, we started as a couple of young kids with an idea, and you work at it every day, and you're in it. If you stay in it a long time, I think you're in it as much because you love the business as because you have to make a living, right? And luckily, if you can do both, it's a really good thing. So I think the inability to pay all your staff, to bring all your staff back, to take care of your vendors. I mean, it's it's a challenge. And I think that that's one of the reasons why restaurants are reaching out to one another, and one of the reasons why we want to reach our clients in any way we can. We need each other. That's all there is
Yes,
to it.
without a doubt, and we do. And that's one of the elements of this COVID-19 that doesn't get a great deal of attention is that loss of community, where you can come together as a group, and even the physical part of it, shaking hands, giving somebody a pat on the back, a hug, those types of things that you don't really, you may not be cognizant of, but have to have an effect, detrimental effect on our health, if not physical, psychological, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that being able to show our love with food and drink, I mean,
Yeah, we
that's part
like
of what
that
we
part.
do, right? That's part of
Yeah,
what
there's
we do.
no doubt about that. We certainly like that. So what can guests expect from restaurants that are creating a safe environment for dining?
There are really so many ways that we can do this, and we're really focusing on how can we serve you. We could talk about the ways that we can't, but that doesn't really help anyone. So we've been focusing with our staff is really making the safety practices for COVID-19 just be as good a skill set as opening a bottle of wine and knowing about the menu. It's how do you sanitize pens? How do you change our sequence of service so that maybe you're not at the table as much, you're not spending extended time with guests at tables, but you're still giving them all of the attention. So I think when you're in a restaurant that's doing a good job, I mean, you should see things like, one use paper menus. You should see that there is an attention to detail of sanitation. I mean, if you're in a dining experience, you're going to see someone sanitize tables and chairs and pens and surfaces and door handles and that on a regular basis. You're going to see people in masks. I mean, you talked about the mask thing earlier. It's not that hard. And our staff has been wearing masks since we reopened for carryout one day after we closed. And I will now get home and find out I've still got it on because, like,
Yeah,
oh, like we forget about it because
right.
it's a part of the uniform for
Hmm.
us now. And the staff is, I will tell you, I'm so inspired by the team because they had to have put it on the moment they walked in the door and not take it off. And I've never heard one single staff member complain about it because
Good.
they know that it's the way we get to be open. We
Hmm.
get to have those guests in the door if we're doing the right things. So that's something you should see. You should definitely see the distance. You should see at least 6 feet between your chair and another dining guests in the restaurant. You should see that same space at the bar, and people should all be seated. If you see those things, then you know that that restaurant is taking the safety thing as seriously as they do how the temperature of your fillet, and and
There you go.
that's the commitment that the restaurant should have. And in that case, then we feel good about inviting you in at that point, and that's
Hmm.
what we want to be able to do. And that's why we love when everyone's following the rules. And I remember the day that the Tampa mask ordinance went into effect, and my staff was, well, what are we going to do? What will people do when they walk in? Will they have masks? And I said, let's have them ready for us. Here's what we're going to say. And everybody that walked in the door that night had a mask on or had it in their hand saying, am I supposed to wear this? And we would say, yes, you are. It was
Good.
encouraging. It was one
Good.
of the encouraging moments.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that makes our community great is that when there's an issue to address, we come forward, we stand up, we do what needs to be done for the betterment of our community. And one of the things, clearly I look at it, and I'm sure you do as well, as food as an art. You're looking at the culinary arts, and I know you guys have been paper menus since you were on Platt Street, way, way, way back, because every day is a new adventure on the menu, and it's a
Right?
new creation. So to sort of reimagine how you can take the necessary precautions and still be able to give that level of service that all of your customers have grown accustomed to is really an art. And it doesn't take, it's a change, and I know people don't like change, but it's not that difficult to acclimate to. And as you said, you alluded to, sometimes you get home and you have your mask on and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that. So that's kind of the way I am too. When you go around looking for your glasses and they're,
Right,
they're
they're on
on
your
your
head. Oh,
face,
wait,
and
they're already on my face. Okay.
yeah, the same thing with the mask. I always blame that on my age, but whatever. Okay, so what clues? Well, I think you sort of went over this, but that guess that restaurants aren't doing what they should be. You know, you're not only are you trying to avoid the transmission and contraction of COVID-19 with your staff and with your customers, but also just provide that level of comfort that you go in there and you know that you're safe in your restaurant. So if you were to walk in someplace, what would make you feel uncomfortable and think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to stay and dine here?
Yeah, and if someone's delivering to you too, and they don't have a mask on, right? That whether
Yeah.
they're coming bringing the food to you, which is a huge part of our business right now, and I think is going to be for a long
Yes.
time. You know, chefs created that. Here's to go. Here are his favorite things to go. Here's what he feels travels well. And we have our full menu, but a special menu that is his favorite to go menu. So if someone shows up at your door and they don't have a mask on, that's not a good thing. If you walk in and people don't have masks on, if you walk in and it truly looks like, yeah, is that really 6 feet? You know, no, it shouldn't be that way. And the whole people standing, you know, if there are people congregating standing at the bar or something, then they're not taking it seriously. And if you spend a whole dinner and you don't see anybody with sanitizer, or you can't find sanitizer for yourself in anywhere, then they're missing all the things that they could potentially be
Mhm.
doing for you.
There you go. And then you have to wonder what other shortcuts are being taken too.
Yep,
There you
absolutely.
go. Okay,
Absolutely.
let's talk about the group that you have developed, the new independent group that's gathered.
Yeah, this was really just independent restaurants reaching out to one another saying, what do you think? What are you doing? What could we do? What could we do together? And I think, a part of it was just the comfort, once again, of talking to one another and
Mhm.
sharing experiences, because that, as we were talking about, that community feels good. But really wanting to get back to what we do, which is provide an opportunity for people to commune with one another in some way, and for people to share, to break bread together, and to create a memory or celebrate something. And whatever the experience might be in your life that you're celebrating or coping with, and being able to do that with others that you care about in a setting, or perhaps conduct some business. And so we talked about what could we do, and we said, well, let's make sure that we're all following every standard that we could. What are you doing that we might not be doing? And then what's happening in our industry as a whole? The seal of approval from the FRLA. Are you doing that? What's it like? What can you share with me? And realizing that the end goal was that we wanted to do this well, so that people could feel safe coming out, so that we didn't have to shut our doors, and we could still invite people in. And how can we support each other to do that, and how can we spread the word? And if there's someone who's not doing it, how could we give them the information and the spirit and the encouragement to do it the right way, so that we could do it? These are restaurants, this initial group of restaurants are all folks that have been doing this for a long time, so obviously you do it for love and money, right? So we know that we're here for a long time. So if we can stay with the 6 foot distancing, I think a lot of people don't know, if you really do that in your restaurant, you're not at 50%, you're maybe at 30. I think 32% is, of this group, the most capacity we're able to get to. We're at 28 at Mise en Place. So that's certainly not 50% even of your seating capacity,
Yeah.
but that's way better than closed.
Right.
And so if we can invite just that many people in, and give them an experience, and we can hold on in that for a while till we get to the next point where we can open up more and just really do this piece well, that's what the kind of commitment that we made to one another, and that we're now trying to share both with other restaurants and clients as well, is to say we can do this. I guess that's the bottom line, saying
Yeah.
we can do this.
Hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. And the people talk about, and we're going to get to, that's one of the questions in here about should restaurants be open right now. But we that's why we put the mask order in place, and that's why we're asking everybody to take every step that they can to avoid the transmission and the contraction of COVID-19. so that we don't have to take a step back and we don't have to close down what we've opened up. I in a lot of the interviews I do, I talk about how we've just gotten back up on our feet economically. And the last thing we can afford is to be knocked back down. So if we take those simple steps, we'll be able to flatten that curve. We'll be able to stay open safely in the businesses that we have up and running now. And it's not just about the proprietors of those businesses, it's about the people that they employ. It's about the individuals, the customers that are counting on. So it's that whole chain of events that keep us up on our feet economically. And I think that's critically important. So the FRLA
is very serious, Mayor. I think our staffs in the establishments that are doing this well, the staff takes it seriously because they understand, as you said, that it's their livelihood.
Right.
So they're going to do whatever it takes to take care of themselves.
So first, let everybody know what the FRLA is, the seal of approval that you have talked about before. So let's talk a little bit about that.
And I'm hoping that this will start to become a common term for people, this FRLA seal of approval. It's the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association. Mm-hmm. And they invested time and resources to come up with a program that says that if you are doing these things, you have a safe environment. And there's actually a process that you have to go through to get the seal of approval. And, we're all of the restaurants that are in this initial group are working to do that. And I'll talk for a minute. It's Burns and Oxford Exchange and ourselves at Mise en Place and On Swan and Bella's and BT's. And these are all folks that have been in the restaurant business for a long time, as I was saying. And so going through the process and going through all of these steps, because FRLA did the research to say, these are the things that matter, and this is how you can get there. This is how you can get this done. And then it's a language we can talk about out in the community. If you're looking about where you're going to go and you say, oh, they have the seal of approval and they have the seal of approval. Well, I want Italian tonight, so let's go to Bella's. They have the seal of approval. And there's also a responsibility to report to the FRLA, so you can't just kind of skip out on it and not really be doing it. And we're trying to hold each other accountable as well for the seal of approval.
Good. Excellent. So what can the guests do to support their favorite restaurants?
Wear your mask. Wear your mask into the restaurant. Wear your mask until you begin eating. Wear your mask if you have to get up and go to the restroom. Wear your mask if it's the kind of place where you might go look at something else because it's in a larger retail thing and you're getting up from the table. And then wear your mask out in the rest of the community because it is going to make a difference. And so we can have the things we want. It's our path to getting the things that we want. So I think be respectful and understand that whatever the rules that an establishment is put into place is really because they're just trying to help. They're trying to be able to keep their doors open so they can invite you in to do the thing you want to do. So I think if you just, give them that respect, that even if it's a new rule that you haven't seen before, maybe they've heard that it makes a difference and they're just trying to make sure that you can keep coming back. So I think that's what we can do. And if you have the means, take care of your staff because they're all working a lot harder for a lot less, just in terms of the number of people that that we're seeing. And then just think of us every time you're thinking about something that you're gonna do. Don't feel like cooking every night. Call us.
There you go. Now you're singing my song. Yeah. That's true, and that's very important too. The way I look at it, and maybe we need to come up with a catchy phrase for this. That I always double the tip in these circumstances and really just look at a minimum, no matter what it is. Sometimes the tip's more than what the meal or the item costs.
Right.
But it is important when you think about that. And I've had family members that worked as wait staff and that you count on that. So that's critically important.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, that keeps the staff going. It really does. Mm-hmm. That keeps the generosity of our customers has kept us going, that we can feel their appreciation and we're very grateful.
And also it's a way to give back. And if you weren't impacted, if you weren't personally impacted by this virus, then you should be very thankful. and help out those that are in need. And there's a number of ways that can be done. So what is Open for Good?
So we, in this brainstorming with these, creative heads in the restaurant industry, we wanted to come up with a phrase that we could show what it was we were really trying to do. That, it is about the bottom line, but it's also about that cultural place that we are in the community, right? I mean, you can tell Tampa's history through the restaurants that you could talk about, right? All the different kinds, from a sandwich shop on Columbus to, Burns Steakhouse. I mean, you can tell Tampa's history in talking about those restaurants and the people that run them and that work in them and that dine at them. And so we wanted to get the message across that we really just want to be open for good. We want to be open to give an opportunity for people to convene around the table and share experiences. And also that we want to open for good, and that we want to do it good. We want to do this opening process good, well, so that we can keep the safety piece, because we really do understand that if we don't do the safety piece, it can't happen. And
Mm-hmm.
so open for good and do it good, and we can keep the economy rolling. It may not be soaring, but it'll be rolling at least,
That's
and
right.
people will still be able to have some time together.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Exactly.
The phrase that's very popular now is the crawl, walk, run, and we've sort of gotten up off of the floor, being knocked down by COVID-19, and now we're walking, and the last thing we want to do is be knocked back down. We want to get to the point where we can start running as we have in the past. So here are some media questions. The first one, this is timely as well, from Ray Roa at Creative Loafing. And he says, what's the city of Tampa's stance on restaurants having concerts? So this is in reference, and I've spoken to a couple of different restaurant groups in the last couple of days. Maryann's group spoke to this morning. But there are some bad actors out there in the community that I know everyone is suffering. But again, we have to look at this as a community, and we all have to follow the rules so that we can all move forward together. And individuals that are not following the rules are really going to drag this out much longer than it needs to be and cause much more damage than they should. And so we crafted a letter today through our city attorney's office. It is going out to all of the restaurants. Bars should be closed, and those who own a restaurant and own a bar know the difference between the two. So bars should already be closed, and restaurants that are acting as bars, they're going to be sent a warning. They're going to be inspected, and they will be fined. It is a misdemeanor, and you can lose your liquor license as well. So we're letting them be warned, and also letting them know that we know who you are. And you may be getting that short-term profit, but you're doing long-term harm to our entire community. And so we have to ensure that everyone is following the rules. And thank you for that question, Ray. And then Jan McLean asked, we love the Friday virtual wine tastings. It's an innovative way to keep customers connected in these times. It's difficult to create such customer connection opportunities so customers feel like they never left. So what are some other ideas that you have or that you've heard of? I always say my best original ideas come from other people. So what are some of the other things that that you've seen other restaurants in other areas do that really to keep customers engaged and to allow them to feel a part of the family of the restaurant without even being there?
Yeah, and we are doing Zoom date tasting. So Jan, thank you so much, because she's been on those tastings, and they're delicious, and there's some education there, and there's some camaraderie. We always end them they're from 6 to 7 on Fridays, and we end them on 7. And you look at and at 7:30, we're all still on the Zoom, because we're talking about life. Encouraged by some wine. We're talking
Yes.
about life. So I think that that restaurants, anything that allows, people to connect. I mean, yeah, I heard about someone, we haven't done this yet, but someone who, dropped off the same food to, people in the neighborhood, everybody ordering from the same restaurant at the same night. So then they can, get on either on the phone or on Zoom and talk about it. Oh, I had what did you have? Just to, we're having the virtual dinner table. So I think
That's awesome.
that creating, things like that, doing whatever the celebration is, even if you can't be together, to get in a room and a Zoom room and share something, I think are the opportunities. I think that, we had a meeting here with some business where, they took a dining room and everybody sat at a different table, but they all had the same meal and they were still able to talk. So it worked. So I think that some serious creativity can, and don't use it. Well, it's not like it was before. Well, no, it's not. That ship is sailed. So, an acceptance of the current time can really create serious creativity, I think.
Mm-hmm. So what's your perspective on this next question? And I said this was going to come up, is the question of should restaurants even be open during a surging pandemic?
I think if the restaurants are taking the pandemic as seriously as I know many, including that list of restaurants that I made earlier. And I just want to say, did I say the Columbia? Because
you didn't say the Columbia and you didn't say Burns, but you added Burns in.
Okay. They're the folks that helped us come up with this Open for Good. So I want to give credit to Michael Kilgore at the Columbia. They've been amazing, and certainly they've been doing this for a long time. I think that if restaurants are willing to do the sacrifice, and part of that is if you're going to be open at 28% of your capacity, and it's not like anybody's making money in this time period. You're just staying open, right? I mean, there's not like a return on a profit. You're just having some cash flow come in and being able to keep people employed and being able to see your guests. That if restaurants are willing to really do that and take it so seriously and stay open while they're going into debt every day that they're open, they're going into debt, but they're open, and they're willing to do that, and we can truly do it safely and with the 6-foot distancing and the face masks, which are so huge, then yes, I do think that they should be open. But I only think that they should be open if everyone is willing to do that. And if our guests are willing to also comply and wear their face masks and follow the rules and not try and stand up at the bar, right? So I think if people are really willing to do it on both sides, then yes, I think they should.
Mm-hmm. And I agree too. You have to balance, as I said, my foremost concern and commitment will always be to the health and well-being of our community, but also there's that responsibility for the economic health. And so I don't want to go backwards. And we did with Lift Up Local, we were able to open up streets in some cases, sidewalks, everything that we could do to help the community. And that was a great success in some parts of the city. And so we're looking at making that the new normal. When the weather gets below 150 degrees, we'll be able to do that type of a thing again. So you're right, it is a new normal. And we as long as we're doing things safely and individuals are taking all of the precautions that they can. This week, as I have said, is really going to be a tell-all with the flattening of the curve. And if we don't bring this down, which all indications are we are, that the positivity rate is declining, and so it looks like the wearing of the mask order is starting to take hold. But we all have to do our part. It's everyone's responsibility. So I want to thank you so much.
Mayor Castor, thank you so much. And I want to say too, our staff is going through testing as a regular part of their world now to make sure that they're safe. So we are truly in this together. And after getting together with this group of restaurateurs and having conversation with you, I think we were all encouraged that we felt like we really are in this together. And if we can all do the same thing, we can be that great city and celebrate its birthday.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I told somebody today that 2020 that we're just going to erase that whole thing and, come my birthday's in December, come December, I'm staying at 60. I'm just going to act like this year never happened. But truthfully, we're working together. It makes it so much easier, and we will be able to emerge from this even stronger than we were. And when you brought up the subject of testing, we're making some advances in that particular area as well. As I said earlier, we're making the tests much more widely available, but also looking at things like pool testing, where you can test groups all at one time to see if anyone in the group has COVID-19, and then you can go out from there. There's also antigen testing that we're having conversations with the medical community, and it's a much easier test, and it really has almost instantaneous results, and that's an indicator if you're positive for COVID-19. So we're really making some advances in this, and then also in the medical care. Uh, a lot of people are presenting themselves to the emergency room, but a lot are being sent home with remote devices that will allow them to be monitored while they're at home. And so if they do deteriorate, they can bring them back into the hospital. And then also to keep people off of ventilators, they're doing this forced, heated, humidified oxygen. And that's very helpful, along with some of the drugs and the plasma from individuals who have the antibodies. So there are advances that are being made, but nothing is as effective as wearing that mask on a regular basis, and that'll keep us all safe.
And on that note, back to work.
And yeah, and we had a mask contest, so yeah, so pretty cool. All right,
thank you, your uniform, right?
That's right. I appreciate it very much, and everyone, thank you again for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all that you're doing to keep our community safe and healthy. And remember, stay safe, be calm, be kind. We want kindness to be more contagious than COVID-19, and wear your mask. Thank you all and have a great evening. Thank you, Maryann. Take care. I'll see you soon.